Well, good morning. This is Overheard Overnight for Monday, April the 29th. And this morning, daddy issues, anyone? Let me start by saying that my dad was a good man. He was strong, he was family focused, and very loyal to a T, in fact, to his friends and family. Um, he started a business in Jamaica that I worked for. And then when in his 40s, he moved to Canada with his family, us in tow. Um, Started another business. I worked for him in that one as well. How could there be any issues? How could I have anything bad or of issue for me for someone that was so strong? Now, of course, he wasn't perfect, and that's part of it, right? My first recollection of dad and maybe having any issues occurred relatively early, probably under the age of 10, vacationing up in Discovery Bay, Jamaica. Big family get togethers, noisy, with lots of cousins and friends and family around. And that's kind of where the start of it is. He would spend his days pretty much in the shade in a gazebo with his buddies, his friends, older adults. They'd be talking and drinking and carrying on and really leaving us kids to ourselves, good and bad. But the ignorance of that, the being ignored of that, is probably what most I remember most. Every once in a while, he'd deign it to come out and play with us in the water, and that certainly is part of that dynamic. A bit later, first time I worked for him at the Texaco service station in Kingston, Jamaica, on the edge of Trenchtown. Let me paint that picture for you. If you've seen the Marley movie, it doesn't look like that in real life. Now, we were on the edge of it. He had a service station that backed up onto a big playing field. Gas station, I was probably 8 years old, somewhere in that time frame, maybe 10. And I spent my days grease monkey, learning how to repair tires, putting in gas every once in a while. They didn't really trust an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old to put gas in vehicles. Um, had a blast though, getting greasy and dirty all day long, learning how to swear. And if you know what a switchblade is, here's the Jamaican version of that, a ratchet. Nasty little piece of work from a knife. I learned how to use that really well. Not sure if mom knew about all this, but hey, I'm with dad. Most of the day I just spent wandering around the place and talking and working with the guys who worked at the service station. Didn't really have much to do with him. He was in the office um, doing business, whatever that means, whatever that meant. I certainly could see someone sitting behind the desk, though. And that's to this day is one of the things that still strikes me as being in business, what that really means. Lunchtime and going home, that's when I had his attention, when he had mine. He'd talk to me and just go on with stories endlessly. If I could remember some of them, I wish I could. If I could remember some of them, that would be just absolutely fantastic because he would talk about family and he'd go back a generation or so and talk about family that we just never knew. But there really wasn't any connection other than I spent my days both at Discovery Bay and at the service station trying to gain his attention, trying to get him to pay attention to me. Did feel very strongly that he just maybe disinterested is a strong word, but probably in that world. Bit later on, we are now getting ready to leave Jamaica, and there was an incident that happened that stuck with me and probably still does. He asked me to go find a screwdriver in a really messy room that we had at the back of the house, and a messy toolbox, and I just couldn't find it fast enough for him. And as a parent, be careful what you say. As a parent, be always aware of what you're going to say, and sometimes you can't be. Because all I heard ringing out from another room was, "You're stupid." I mean, of course, he didn't mean that, right? I just couldn't find the screwdriver. He knew where it was, asked me to get it, was frustrated. At least now that's my interpretation of it, right? I'm trying to justify that I'm stupid just at the core of needing that external validation, that need for a dad to say, "Hey, I love you," or "Hey, you're okay." Still part of it. Along the way, of course, beyond just dads and biological fathers and parents, there were bosses in the work environment that I was in, advertising, marketing, strong personalities all. And certainly in this one particular case, wanted the boss to give validation for what we were doing, even though in my own mind, I knew what I was doing was right and was strong. I was confident in what I was doing, still needed that validation. So, does it ever end? Probably not. Does it ever wane? Definitely does. Along the way, I've learned some techniques. Most recently, I've been forced into having to develop some techniques for how to deal with issues such as this. First one, there's only three that I kind of play with now and keep close to me. The first one is that I focus on what I can control. I call it the inputs. I can input certain things into a situation, but I can't control the outcomes. That's a cliche one, right? But the reality is, I can't control how someone's going to think of me. I can't neither can you. I can't control how someone's going to react to something I do. I can't control, and I used to really go crazy on this in the marketing advertising world. If I put an ad out there, and even today when you see the online ads, and they don't generate results instantly, I get very frustrated with that. I was always a results kind of guy. I wanted to see the results of the actions, looking for that external validation. So I tried to think about not needing that, being present when it comes up, when it swirls up from inside. Stay in the present. Get that person out of my head. Get that situation out of my head. I worked with a gentleman a few years ago, and he had just one of the nicest lines that I still recall. He said, "Don't give that person permission to be inside your head. Don't give them that permission. It's up to you." That's a very strong statement, and I keep that at hand very, very often, so that I can make sure that if I feel myself getting anxious about needing that external validation, that father validation, no, get out of my head. You don't have permission. The third one is a technique that I use for just about every decision I make today, and it comes out of what I call my mental health toolkit, and it is the RYG, the red, yellow, green strategy. What it is if I'm staying present and I feel myself getting anxious, if I feel myself needing, in this particular case, some validation from outside, from a father figure, I stop. Just stop everything. The yellow, that's the red. The yellow is consider options. And then I'll go through scenarios, pro, con, up, down, one side, the other. And then the green is make a decision, move on, or get that person out of your head in this case. Sometimes it doesn't happen quickly. I've had situations where I've made that RYG activity, and 20 minutes later, I'm in a run and I'm still thinking about it. And I go, no, that's not right. I haven't resolved it yet. So I take my time back and go through it again. And I find that helps a ton. But when we get through all of this, when I think about all of this now, and at this stage of life with kids and grandkids, trying to start something new as well with regards to a new business opportunity, once again into the breach, I can't help but ask myself this question. It's a bigger issue question, and something that certainly I'm not equipped to deal with. And that is, why do I even need external validation at all? Why do any of us need someone from outside, some person from outside, to tell us that what we're doing is right? My personal motto is strength within self. If you're up on your Latin, it is potestas in me ipsum, strength within self. And then I need an external to come in and tell me that what I'm doing is strong or right or good. I'll leave you with that. So until next time, be good to each other.